This spot is called Lalmati, named for its red clay cliffs. The view along the riverbank is like a painting. Bright green cattails sway in the foreground. Behind them, white sandbars reach out to the ochre bluffs and rippling water. We pause at the top of the cliffs to take in the moment. To me, this is the most beautiful place in the Borderlands jungle, as wild and far from people as you can find. Maybe the isolation is the source of the real beauty. I think this place is Hira Prasad's favorite too. He rumbles each time we approach it. "This will be our tradition," I said as I rubbed the top of his head. "On New Year's Day, we will come to these cliffs." Hira Prasad flapped his ears and lifted his trunk to the river. It had been almost 6 months since Dilly, my closest friend, and I found Hira Prasad. He was being starved to death, chained to a tree in the courtyard of the local landlord we call the Python. The sight of the elephant's thin body and sunken eyes was too much for us to bear. Dilly and I bargained with the Python to sell us Hira Prasad. We saved my Tusker's life that day, and he has never forgotten it. The Nepali New Year is a day to celebrate and thank the gods. It is now also the day we mark our brotherhood. On my command, Hira Prasad dropped to his knees and rolled to his side so I could climb off his back. He rose to his feet again and began grazing in the grassland, ripping the tall shoots with his curled trunk and stuffing them into his mouth. My Tusker was hungry. He ate and ate while I wandered. Soon I heard the dull thuds of elephant dung hitting the ground behind me. Fortunately, the smell was sweet, like the grass elephants eat. I made my way to the edge of the cliff. The swift current of the river swept along far below me. There had been no rain for months, but even in this drought, the depth here was over my head. The cold, clear water of the great sandbar river is fed by the melting snows of the high Himalayas, straight north from where I stood. In the middle of the river, near a maze of sandbars, 2 narrow, half-submerged logs began to roll. I focused my binoculars to discover they were female gharial, the rare ancient crocodilian that still lives along this river. Like a dinosaur, the gharial has scaly peaks along its back and a long, thin snout to grab fish out of the river. I scanned the far bank beyond the gharial, where movement caught my eye. The rising heat waves made it difficult to see clearly, but I knew it was a wild elephant, a female, with a small calf. Both were looking up at us on the ridge. I have heard stories that when an old elephant dies at our stable, she is reborn in her next life as a wild elephant that lives across the great Sandbar River. I wondered if that young calf was my elephant mother, Devi Kali, the only mother I have ever known, who died over a year ago. I hoped it was her, enjoying her next life. Suddenly I felt Hira Prasad at my side. I never cease to be amazed at how quietly elephants can move. The pads under their feet absorb all sound. "Look, Hira Prasad," I said. "That may be our mother across the river." Devi Kali, I had learned, was Hira Prasad's mother too. He had been separated from her as a baby, just as I had been separated from my birth parents. Hira Prasad's soft rumbling turned into a long grumble, ending with a loud trumpet. "What is it?" The roar from the river made it difficult to hear, but I thought the wild elephant had trumpeted as well. Hira Prasad rumbled again and stepped forward, wrapping his trunk around my chest and pulling me backward. I cried out, but Hira Prasad ignored me. He had never done such a thing before. "Chi! Chi!" I shouted the elephant command to let me go and kicked my legs as hard as I could. I was helpless and terrified that Hira Prasad was going to toss me into the river. He grabbed me even tighter around the waist with his trunk. "What are you doing, Hira Prasad?" I yelled. For the first time ever, I was afraid of my brother elephant. I struggled to free myself, slapping at his trunk. He carried me 20 feet from the cliff.